Unless you've been living under a rock for the last 18 months, we'd all heard about the new FX Modular Dreamline. Yep, well, we've seen them in the shows, we've managed just to have sneak peeks of them, but I've actually managed to get one. Probably one of the first ones in the UK, and I've got it for a full independent review. Keep watching, I'll tell you what I think about it. Don't forget to check out our new website, ergonology.com. There you'll find all of our latest videos, social media links, along with many 3D printed parts especially designed for the air rifle community. We also have an independent forum where you can trade your equipment. All of the links are on www.ergonology.com, and the link can be found in the YouTube video description below. Right there YouTubers, it's Steve here, aka Catanonia from Ergonology, and welcome to another video. And this time we are looking at the brand new FX Dreamline, and I've got the Dreamline Lite in 177. So first off, a massive thank you to one of my subscribers, Martin. You'll notice that the Red Wolf is missing, and that's because he's got it while I have his rifle. So my impact's up there in place at the moment. So if you're new to this channel, welcome. We do a whole load of, like I said, air rifles, air pistols and technology reviews. Hit that subscribe button. Check out all our other reviews that we've done, and check out the video descriptions. You'll find links there to our forum, our Facebook group, and our web page as well. So this is potentially going to be quite a long video. There's a lot to go through, so grab yourself a favourite beverage, put me on pause, get back when you're ready, and we'll crack on with it. So basically, what is the Dreamline all about? Well, it's simply FX's new method of making rifles. In terms of what they've done is they've modularized the whole components of the rifle. So the idea is that you can go to a part shelf and you can pick, I want that particular barrel, I want that stock, I want that trigger system, I want that rail system, I want that butt pad, and you can mix and match them however you want, and effectively from a set of default parts, custom build any rifle that you want, and hopefully at a cheaper price point. So instead of me waffling about it, I'm going to play a video that hopefully FX will be quite happy with, that they've had on the internet now for over 18 months, and this will really show you the concept in some nice pretty pictures. So hopefully that video sort of really gives you an insight as to what this modular system from FX is all about. You can have yourself an FX Lite like this, and then you can purchase some extra parts. You can turn it into a bullpup. You could swap the barrel systems out to make it from a 177 to a 22, or however you want. You can switch out the bottom sections, the top sections, put pick rails on it. You can pretty much build anything you want, and then of course that lineup of parts is just going to increase over the years, and you're going to get loads of third-party parts for it as well. But the one I have with me today is the FX Dreamline Lite version, and it is called Lite for a very, very good reason. You know, without the scope and this bipod on it, we're looking at 2.6 kilograms. Yeah, that is stupidly light, so it really does live up to its name. Now, with all of the Dreamlines, I'm sort of going to go across all of them here and then start talking about the Lite as well. But you can get them in 177, 2225 and 30 calibers. All the usual stuff. You can get them in all of the usual power limitations, obviously in sub 12 foot-pound. You can then get them up to 18 foot-pound, 30, 47, depending on the country you are. Obviously, if you're in the UK or other power restricted countries, you're stuck to that limit. That's to the maximum you can go. But you can then get this rifle, the ones as of May 19 that are listed that you can actually start ordering are the Lite, which is this one in all those variants. You can then get the Classic, if you like that classic look and feel. You can then get a bullpup stock with it with some extra attachments to form the trigger linkages. You can get the Tactical with different stock again on it with different options, or you can go for the Field Target, and I really like the look of that one. That really does look nice. But yeah, you can get them in all different variants, different flavors, etc. And of course you can mix and match them all the way around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about this one, the Lite. So it contains most of the features that you can get. So let's start off with the butt, the stock on it, the butt itself on here. Now, if you have a look at that, the profile on that is extremely thin. And I thought that this would wobble a little bit, but it's actually quite solid. But it's non-adjustable at all. Now, I'm not the tallest or the longest reach guy, but I've got no problems there, so it's not too bad. But some of you longer armed guys may have a problem with that. But it's modular. So you can undo this little screw here, and you can take the butt out and you can put a different butt on there, or you can put an aftermarket butt on there. Nice and simple. The same goes for the trigger. The pistol grip down here. The pistol grip is a bit cheap and nasty. It's keeping the price down, but it's a standard AR-15 type grip. If you don't like it, you can swap it out. Go to eBay, go to FX, you can go and take that out and change it all. Up the top we've got standard 11mm dovetails up here, and again you can get options to change that out with additions to put on pick rails up the top there. We have a safety catch that is manually resettable, which is nice. Clicks a little bit, not too much. The trigger system on it is sublime. With all FX, this is the one thing FX do amazingly, is their triggers. And it's one of the reasons I actually bought my own Impact, is for the trigger on it. It is absolutely brilliant. It's got a perfect, you can just feel the first stage, and then the second stage just goes absolutely nice. And again, fully adjustable, even down to the blade angle, how you want to change all of that as well. We then have the standard, you're starting to get to see this a lot now, but basically the standard cocking lever system with FX, very smooth, very efficient. And this rifle is fully unloaded, but basically you cock it back like so, it will distinct click on there, and then the magazine system is unfortunately still the old FX way of doing it, and that is these horrible magazines where you turn the dial all the way around, you flip the mag over, you put the first pellet in backwards, and then you spin it around and you put the rest of the pellets in the normal way around. Sometimes they go in, sometimes they don't, sometimes you have to bang them to get them to sit flush. The one I've got is actually not too bad, it worked quite well, but you find some pellets just won't fit them very well. And it's literally, it is the smaller crown one, it's not the big crown one on there, it's a smaller one. But yeah, the capacities of this is a 22 shot capacity, and then you get 18 in 2.2, it goes down to 16 in 2.5, and then 13 in 3.0, so large capacity on there. So the magazine, once you've got that, is a little groove and it just slots itself in like so, and then you close the lever back up. Now I can't close it because the magazine is empty, there's no pellets in it, so it won't let me. But if you have a look, you'll notice that the scope clearance, you need quite a high scope mounts on this to get that magazine to sit underneath. So you do need to watch out for that. And we'll just take that magazine out. and we'll just fire the shot off. Obviously this is empty. Now I have no moderator on the end of here, so if we just listen to this, you can hear how loud that is. It is a fairly loud bark on that, but we'll come to that in a bit. So that's basically the cocking, the magazine system on there. We then have a regulator gauge here. Now obviously this is a regulated rifle, as with all the FXs, and they're stating new stuff about the regulator up here. So they're actually saying that now you can actually adjust your regulator through this little screw here without having to fully empty the cylinder. So if you want to increase the power, you can do. I'll talk more about that later on. Then up the top here we've got the barrel system from FX. Now obviously this is the latest barrel, Smooth Twist X interchangeable barrel system. So literally there's a couple of screws up here that you can take out the barrel slots out, you can take the pellet probe out, you can swap the barrel into a higher caliber one, put a new pellet probe in, and away you go. You can even change the barrel lining itself, so you can change the twist rate for all those guys that want to experiment with different pellet types, etc. But obviously super accurate with there. The length of the barrel is 500mm unless you're in the 2.5 and the 3.0, and then basically it's a 600mm barrel. And also the overall length of the rifle as well, it does look deceptively long, and that's due to really the thinness of the rifle itself. But it's about 960mm, and that increases to 1060mm for the 2.5 and the 3.0 caliber on there. But basically there's your barrel there. Now the nice thing as well, which hopefully you'll get on most rifles nowadays, is you do have a little blanking cap with a quarter UNF on there, which then you could fit on one of the new Donny moderators or any moderator that you want. So we've got a nice little black Hugget on here, I think it's a Bolito, and then if we just fire that off, you'll notice it makes a hell of a difference there. So that's the barrel system, free floating barrel, as you can see. And then we have a tube cylinder here. So basically we're not using a body bottle or a carbon body bottle on this. We're using the old classic tube. And they've stuck the regulator, the pressure gauge on the front. My pet hate, I hate that. But basically what you've got is a 220cc tube, which you fill to 230 bar. That tube size increases to a 250 for the larger calibers as well. But I'm finding with a 177 sub 12 foot-pound, running at about 11.5 foot-pound, I'm getting about 160, 180-ish shots before the power drops off the regulator, which is not a lot if you think about it. And especially when you start going up to the higher calibers, then obviously the shot down is going to suffer quite a bit because you don't have the buddy bottle system. However, I have seen some pictures around and some indications that they're even going to be allowing you to change the cylinder out on this modular system to put a carbon buddy bottle on there. Yeah, you can pretty much build it how you want it to be built. So the filling itself, if we just bring the rifle down, here we have the fill probe. It's one of those standard ones. You see that on the Wildcat, I think. It's just a twist dust cover there, and then your fill probe that you get is your standard quick fill adapter probe. Obviously you get that with the rifle, as well as a magazine I think you get with the rifle. So if we now sort of spin the rifle around the other way, which way we haven't done that side, so we got a pick rail under here standard with the light. And then we have the valve adjuster here. So this is basically the amount of air that goes into the barrel system. Those that have seen the Crown review, well, would be familiar with that. It's got three settings. Basically 17722, 2530 and low. You set that to the caliper you want and everything, and then you can come back to the back part here and you can then change the hammer spring tension adjuster here. And again, it's got the standard maximum low setting, so you can, once you've got your full power set up, you can dial it up, you can dial it down. Now this part here is also modular, so if you're going to get a rifle, then I'd probably recommend you get the light version because you get this bit with it. Some of them, the classics and stuff like that, won't come with this, but of course it can be added on depending on the stock that you use. But that's sort of walking around the actual rifle itself. It's a very nice simple rifle, very lightweight, very thin, and at 1,100 UK pounds as of May 19. That's actually not a bad price at all compared to some of the other rifles you might be looking at. So what we're really interested in is what is it like to shoot. So we took it outside. Now it was a bit windy. And obviously I've not had this rifle very long because of it's on loan, so that I can do this review for you. But let's see how we get on, and we'll come back inside and talk about it. Right there guys, so we're outside. It's quite a nice day, but it is a little bit breezy. But we got the Dreamline light here. We're going to do some shooting at our usual 25 meters. And a lot of you guys ask, why have I started using a rest? Well, there's a very simple reason behind that. And that is because basically I'm not the best shot in the world, and I'm trying to take human error out. So I want to keep the rifle as stable as possible so that we can actually see how accurate it is. Yes, there is a bit of element of me in it, but that's the reason I'm using it. So what we're going to do is usual 25 meters. We're going to use some JSBs. And we're then going to go on to some sovereigns, some AA, and then some Bisley targets. We'll see how we do. We might actually throw a fifth one in there, and then we'll probably take it out a little bit further as well. So as you can tell with the gazebo behind me, it is a bit windy. We'll see how we get on. So let's start off now with the JSBs. Okay, now we'll move on to the sovereigns. 10 shots again, 25 meters. Okay, now the AA Field Diablos. Let's see how we get on with these ones. They felt a bit clunky in the magazine, a little bit of binding as you're pushing them through. Now onto the Bisley Magnums. Again, 10 shots, 25 meters. It'll be a shame to waste the target, won't it? So what we'll do is we'll just do JSBs. I think the JSB Exacts actually, the 8.44 grains, they seem to be working the best on here, so we'll give them a go, centre target. Yeah, definitely the JSBs. What I found actually, and I've done a lot of testing on this, I've just put this together for the camera so you can see, but I found the sovereigns, and I've always found this with sovereigns and FXs, is that they don't like the magazines that well. They're a little bit of a tight fit in there, and you can feel a bit of binding going on, but they're not too bad if you get the right pellet in there. The AAs, I found they bound when you push the actual cocking lever forward, you can feel that binding. The Bisley Magnums, obviously they were a different point of aim. There was a couple of flyers there, but they're not brilliant on there. But definitely the JSB Exacts, the 8.44s, they're bob on. They absolutely work brilliantly. So well, I think what we'll do now is we'll push it out to 40 meters, and we'll stick with the JSB Exacts and see how well we do with that. Okay, so what we're going to do now is I'm pushing it out to my maximum range in my garden. So we're at 40 meters. And again, we've got the camera downrange. We're going to use the JSBs because of, in my testing, they seem to be the best. So we'll give it the best fighting chance. There's a little bit of breeze going on here, and we'll see how we get on. So, how did I get on? As you can see, it was fairly windy. It was unsorted pellets, just made sure they weren't damaged. And I just took a selection at 25 meters. The first ones I picked happened to be the best, and that was JSBs. And that's understandable. They always recommend with FX rifles that you use a JSB type pellets, and it did not fail, even in wind. And yes, I was using a bench rest to do it. I wanted to take the human error out of it, but I'm suitably impressed with that. You know, that's some of the best shooting I've done, and I'm not the best shot. We all know that. I took some sovereigns in there. They were doing okay, but there were a couple of flyers in there, and I think that's to do with the sovereigns trying to go into the magazine. FX magazines always have problems with sovereigns, I've noticed. Then you got the Bisleys at the bottom, not too bad. And then we got some AAs here, and again a couple of flyers, and I think wind affected. So overall, accurate, definitely accurate. Happy with that. So then I thought, alright, we'll take the JSBs because they seem to be the best, and let's push it out as far as I can on my range, and that's out to 40 meters. Again, it was quite windy, and I got very, very pleasing results. I'm happy with that. Obviously, with more time with the rifle, better conditions, I had better shot than me. You can get pellet on pellet. Yeah, there's no doubting. You know, even in my hands, this rifle is a crackingly accurate rifle. So there's a big plus point there. What else is a plus point? Well, let's go on to price. Straight up, one of these, you're looking at £1,100, or probably equal US dollars, which I think is actually a very good price for a high-end rifle. Look at the features you're getting. You're getting all of the swappable barrel systems, you're getting the accuracy, you're getting a fully regulated high-capacity shot magazine system. You're getting the adjusters, obviously in 12 foot-pound, they're limited to you, but you're getting everything, and then you're actually getting the modular system, which then you can expand upon. So yeah, I think the price point is pretty good on there. The magazine system on there, the Crown one, I know there's not much difference, it's just orientation, but I found the build quality of this one better than the FX ones. But let's see what happens in the future with those. I won't harp on about that. The build quality is second to none. There's no doubt on it. It is great. They've gone to town on this, as with all FX rifles. You know, I'm not an FX or a Daystate fan. No, I just appreciate good rifles. That's why I have a Red Wolf, and why I have an FX there, and why I borrow rifles so I say what I want. But the build quality on all FXs has been sublime, and there is nothing different here at all. The trigger, it's got to be one of the best parts about all FX rifles, is the trigger. I love them. They're absolutely brilliant. They're simple, they work, they're fully adjustable, they're clean, they're crisp, and it inspires you with confidence, the triggers on there. I do love the triggers on here. The modular system is obviously a plus point. You know, you start off, let's just say you go for the baseline model like this, £1,100, and then you decide you want to put a tactical stock on, or butt plate on. You can, simple. You don't have to go and buy a new rifle. What the cost of that will be is a different matter. Then you want to change the rail system and put pick rails on it. You can go and do that. If you then want to put on a classic looking stock or a bullpup stock, you can do that. If you then want to change out from a 177 to a 2.2 barrel, you can. It's easy to do. Obviously you have to readjust your point of aim and re-zero, but you can do it. Effectively, you can have multiple rifles with multiple parts all over the place, but I'll come on to that in a bit as well. The fact that this is so modular and obviously new is effectively a aftermarket part provider's dream. You know, basically I'm already looking at this thinking, oh, I wonder if I can 3D print things. Trust me, it's going to happen. So that means you're going to get lots of extras for this. It already happened on the FX Impact. I've got loads of extra bits that have been 3D printed. It's going to happen here. So that is a really, really good. And another thing I do like about it, and it comes down to the name of this particular variant, is the light. I'm not a great standing up shot person, I hardly ever do it, and I don't shoot often enough, so I tend to get the wobbles after about 20-30 seconds. This thing is so light that I can just hold that there, almost feel like I can just hold it as long as I want. Nice and stable. So really, really nice system. So all in all, typical FX, definitely lots of good points on there. There are obviously some bad points. Number one, the looks. Do you like it? It's what I call a Marmite rifle. You either like it or you hate it. There's very few people in the middle ground with this. Some people think it's pig ugly, it's too military, where's the wood? Some people think it looks like a Star Wars rifle, and others absolutely adore them. The chances are, if you're an FX fan and you like their minimalistic type FX impacts or the Wildcats, then you will like this more than likely. But that is a personal choice on that. I personally think this is too thin. I think they've gone too far with it. Look how thin, look at the profile, the thickness of it. And the problem with it is, because it's so light and so thin, that when you hold it, it's easy to cant it, tilt it sideways, which of course over a certain distance can throw your pellet off target. And you know, if you take other rifles like the Impact or the Red Wolf or some of the AA rifles, you've got something substantial to hold on to, which sort of balances the rifle out. It's almost got like a flat part on it that just holds flat in your palm, whereas this, there's nothing there to hold. So what happens is it tends to tip. And you do need to get then a firm grip, which then you shouldn't be really shooting like that, gripping a rifle tight. So that is one thing that I did find with it. It took a lot of getting used to on there. The cylinder is definitely a downside with this, a low shot count. You know, remember the type of rifle we're looking at here. You know, we're not down in the low, we're actually in the expensive area, and a lot of people would expect to be getting high shot counts. And that's because you don't have the carbon bottle. However, I've done some Google searching and I've had it confirmed by a few people that you are going to be able to swap out the cylinder and put on a carbon buddy bottle system on it, just like the Impact. So that's going to get addressed potentially on there as well. So yeah, it's interesting to see how that goes. If you do get this one, then be careful, because obviously the butt pad is non-adjustable. Obviously you can swap it out and put another one on here, but in its standard format it's non-adjustable. So just be careful. I certainly recommend you give it a go and try it out and see what it's like. The modular system, it can be a downside, and I think I'll touch on that in a bit at the moment. In terms of the actual light itself, well, it sort of wants to be a Crown, because it's got all the dials and the bits on it, and it's a long rifle-ish. But then it wants to be an Impact. And it's sort of like if you put them both in a room and gave them some vodka, this is what you'd get. Yeah, it's a lot cheaper, but it's not an Impact. And it's not a Crown, it's sort of in the middle. But then you could turn it into anything you want, which then brings you into the modular system. Do you want to do that? I recommend that if you wanted to get into this ecosystem, then really you should get the light version for the price. Play with it, live with it, and then think carefully about the modular system you want. And the reason I'm going to say this is I'm going to have to be careful in how I say it, but I'll just say it as I feel it. And that is, the modular system that FX are doing here works brilliantly for FX. It makes their production, their parts, their storage so much easier. There's stock control. They now can make these parts, put them on a shelf, and basically select them and put them together into a rifle. It makes costs, it reduces costs, everything. It's just like Henry Ford making the first production line where every part of a car fitted onto every other car, no problems. That's what they've done here. And it really is going to help FX get to market cheaper and better, and hopefully push that cost onto you, the consumer, which appears to be happening with the price point of this of 1100. But don't be fooled by it, is all I say. Now this is not going to apply to everyone, but you know what us boys are like when we see shiny things. Must have, must have, must have. Are you actually going to use them? Let me explain, for example. I know plenty of people that have had an FX Impact 177, and for the sake of it gone and brought a 2.2 barrel because it's there on the shelf to be brought. And they thought, it's great, I'll get 2 rifles. But then when they realised the pain in the neck it is at times to swap the barrels out, change your point of aim, re-zero, do this, after the first couple of times they've done it, one of those barrels sits in the cupboard or is up for sale. The same thing could happen here if you're not careful. You could end up getting your bits and pieces, you buy all the Lego bricks that you want, but you end up with the rifle that you actually like. And then you don't use all of those parts. So I can see a lot of these extra bits going up for sale, which is good, because hopefully those second-hand prices will come down a bit with it all. But I'm just saying, be careful. You know, at the end of the day, it is a very clever thing that FX are doing. It's very good for their marketing. It's very good for their cost base and their manufacture process, but it is definitely a sell point, and it's a sell point that you got to sit down and think, do I actually need it, or am I being taken for a ride for a lot of money? I can see people buying one of these, the Lite, liking it, and then thinking, oh, I want to change the butt plate. I want to put different rails in it. Oh, I want the buddy bottle system. Oh, I want it to look like my Impact. And it's probably going to end up costing them twice as much as buying an Impact. So just be careful with that. That's my thoughts on it. Would I go out and buy one? Maybe. I don't know. I don't know. If I was to buy one, then I would probably buy it in the Lite, but then get a bullpup stock for it as well, so that I could switch between Lite and bullpup. So I've got like a longish rifle and a bullpup type rifle. And that's probably as far as I personally would go for it. So I've harped on about that enough. I think you get the idea that I'm talking about there. The regulator on here. Now, I said I'd talk about this. FX are saying that this is a new regulator system, unique, and you can change the regulator without reducing the pressure, without having to empty your cylinder. And the reason that you've always apparently not been able to do this is because of when you want to increase the pressure, you have to turn a screw against high air pressure. And if you turn it too much, you'll snap it and invalidate and break your regulator. FX are saying now you can do that. Read the small print. The small print basically says fire off a couple of shots, which lets a bit of air pressure out. Then turn the reg, I think it's something like 1/8 of a turn, and then repeat the process until you get the desired reg pressure you want. There's nothing new about that. You can do that to all rifles, but don't. All the manufacturers out there know you can do that. They just tell you not to do it because they know that somebody's going to mess it up and break it and snap it, and then warranty, and you're out of warranty. So there's nothing amazing new about it, and if you do it, be very careful to read the instructions of that, because I doubt very much if you break the reg on these, you'll be covered. Okay, so just check with that one, the regulator system on there. We've done that. The magazines, we've talked about the magazines. I hate these magazines. And FX are bringing out new high capacity magazines and side shot systems for their Impact. I've looked and looked on the internet, and I can't see anything similar for this. So I don't know whether or not you're going to be stuck with these horrible magazines for the next God knows how many years, or they're going to bring a new magazine system out for this, I know. But you know how much I hate these magazines on the FX. It's the one thing I wish they'd change. It's easy for them to change, but they're not doing it on that. Okay, so obviously another thing to watch out for as well is if you do swap barrels and you're power restricted, make sure you get the right power rated barrel. Otherwise you could end up being over 12 foot-pound in the UK. If you're unsure about that, check my Crown video and barrel swapping up here. I fully explain it in there, but watch out for that as well. And to be honest with you, it's not as amazing a rifle as all of the pre-videos that you've seen already from the FX sponsor channels. You know, we know who we're talking about. It's not all that amazing. It is just as good as a Crown, as an Impact. That's it. It's just in a different style, and the fact that the style can be modularized and you can swap and change things out. But it's no super accurate, amazing rifle. It is good. Very, very good. But there's nothing amazing going on here other than how it's all been packaged up. It is a quality rifle, definitely. And I'm saying if you wanted to get one of these, I personally would go for the Lite, because then you get all of the attachments that you need, all of the adjusters, etc. And then realistically you're probably looking at changing the butt pad out and maybe the stock on it. And if you really want to, swap out from the barrels on that. So would I get this over the Impact? Probably no. Not the Mark II, if you wanted the Impact for that job. But if you wanted something that you could, for example, take and do some sort of HFT work with, then yes, absolutely, you could have this for going around the farm or in the garden, and then have the HFT stock version for HFT stuff. Absolutely, I can see it, I see the point. This is certainly a big step forward for the industry, for the air rifle industry. I'm trying not to knock it too much. I'm trying to be as honest as I can. It's great to see FX doing stuff like this and pushing the bar. I think personally it is a cracking rifle. I'm really nitpicking a little bit there. So I would love to know your thoughts, comments in the sections down below. Don't forget to check out our webpage, our Facebook group, and our forum on there as well. Like I said, I'd love to know, if you got a pre-order in, which one are you getting? What do you think? Do you like it? Don't you? I suspect 50-50 of you will love it, will hate it. But I will be extremely interested to know. So anyway, I'll catch you on the next video, and I'll see you next time.